Hello viewers, welcome back to English and Educational Updates. Well, in this video, we will be dealing with the first lesson of Class 8 CBSE English textbooks titled The Best Christmas Present in the World. In this video, we will be knowing about the author, his brief biography, theme of the lesson, key points delivered in the lesson, insights from the story, ending with the summary of the lesson. So let's get started. Please do subscribe and encourage us to do more educational and studies related videos. Click on bell icon to receive alerts and updates. Go to playlist and access various kinds of videos. And as you all know that the government of AP has introduced CBSE curricula in our state of Andhra Pradesh, and it's bit tougher task, but once we know the basic details and the basic contents of the textbooks, then we can easily and in a step-by-step manner we can deal with the lessons. Let's go to the main topic. So ఈరోజు వీడియోలో మనకి 8th class first lesson, the best Christmas present in the world. Author, the name of the author is Michael Mapugo. Please listen to my pronunciation again. Michael Mapugo. M-O-R-P-U-R-G-O. Mapugo. And his books are here listed. And to cite some example, Private Peaceful, The Butterfly Lion, Farm Boy, Born to Run, A Medal for Leroy, The Amazing Story of Adolphus Tips, Shadow, An Elephant in the Garden, An Eagle in the Snow, Running Wild, The Fox and the Ghost King, Alone on a Wide, Wide Sea. These are some of the books written by Michael Mapugo. He is an author from England, and this is the brief, small biography about the author Michael Mapugo. His education, he got educated in King's College of London, and some of the books were made as movies. To cite some example, Warhouse, When the Whales Came, Private Peaceful, book name as well as movie name, Waiting for Anya, Friend or Foe, Kensuke's Kingdom. And he also received some of the awards named Children's Laureate, Carnegie Medal Awards. Now let's go to the story. The Best Christmas Present in the World is a very touching story by Michael Mapugo. So ఈ స్టోరీలో the narrator buys an old desk called roll top desk. This is the main key component of the story, roll top desk, where the narrator discovers a letter that contains very heart touching incident shared between two army soldiers, or the captains of the two countries here, England and Germany. And the narrator finds it in a letter written by an English soldier, Jim Macpherson, to his wife Connie Macpherson, whom the narrator goes to meet and hand over the letter. సో ఈ యొక్క స్టోరీలో మనకి ఆ యొక్క రోల్ టాప్ డెస్క్లో డిస్కవర్ అంటే స్పాట్ చేసిన లెటర్లో ఆ యొక్క టచింగ్ స్టోరీని ఇనిషియల్లీ హీ హెజిటేటెడ్ టు రీడ్, బట్ అవుట్ ఆఫ్ క్యూరియాసిటీ ద నెరేటర్ went through the contents of the letter, and finally he handed over the letter to the English soldier's wife, Jim Macpherson, that is Mrs. Macpherson. So the story depicts the brotherhood and the universal bonhomie. Here H is silent, and in the author's pronunciation, so Mapugo, R is silent here. So here in bonhomie, H is silent here. So brotherhood, here a kind of brotherliness as well as cheerful friendliness between two countries, between two troops of the countries. So ఇక్కడ soldiers in the enemy camps want peace and harmony. They don't want fights, they don't want sadness, they don't want any kind of anger that which war results in. So they wanted to live with their families. So they have been fighting fighting for a long number of years, but they want to go back and spend their time with their families so that they can have good time at their respective homes after the end of the army, after a uh, after giving up the hostility between the countries అనేది కూడా మనం ఈ యొక్క స్టోరీలో తెలుసుకోబోతున్నాం. సో ద డిస్కార్డ్ మీన్స్ ద డిసగ్రిమెంట్ ఆఫ్ ద లీడర్స్. సో ఎవరైతే లీడర్స్ ఉంటారో వాళ్ళ యొక్క డిసగ్రిమెంట్ డస్ నాట్ డెవలప్ ఎనిమిటీ అమాంగ్ దెమ్. సో this story also implies that they wish to celebrate and play together. The female character here, Connie Macpherson, waited long for the husband to return from the war front. So these are the main ideas from the story, and we will go to some of the key points, key take home points or insights from the lesson. సో మీరు స్క్రీన్ పైన చూస్తున్నట్టుగా ఈ స్టోరీ ద్వారా మనం ఏం తెలుసుకోబోతున్నామంటే, వార్ కెన్ ఓన్లీ రిజల్ట్ ఇన్ హెట్రెడ్ అండ్ డిస్ట్రక్షన్ బిట్వీన్ టూ కంట్రీస్, బట్ ఎ స్మాల్ జెస్చర్ ఆఫ్ కైండ్నెస్ అండ్ ఎంపతి కెన్ మేక్ దిస్ వరల్డ్ ఎ బెటర్ ప్లేస్ ఫర్ ఆల్. సో ఈ రెండు కంట్రీల మధ్య హేట్రెడ్, ద్వేషము, ఈ యొక్క వినాశనం కన్నా ఒక మంచి దయాహృదయంతో, ఒక ఎంపతితో ముందుకెళ్తే డెఫినెట్గా ఈ యొక్క ప్రపంచం మంచి ప్లేస్ అవుతుందని కోరుకుంటున్నారు. ఈ యొక్క స్టోరీ ద్వారా ఈ ఇద్దరు ఆర్మీ సోల్జర్స్ ద్వారా మనం ఈ మెసేజ్ని తెలుసుకోబోతున్నాం. ద బెస్ట్ క్రిస్మస్ ప్రెజెంట్ ఇన్ ద వరల్డ్ లెసన్ highlights how two armies, instead of hating each other, meet cheerfully to each other to celebrate Christmas, and it becomes one of the best Christmas of their life. సో ఈ యొక్క ఆర్మీస్ మధ్య ఆ రోజు క్రిస్మస్ మార్నింగ్ సెలబ్రేషన్స్ను, ఎక్స్చేంజింగ్ ఆఫ్ గ్రీటింగ్స్ని చేసుకోవడం ద్వారా దే ఆర్ కమ్యూనికేటింగ్ ఏ డిఫరెంట్ హార్మోనీ మెసేజ్ టు అవర్ beloved readers of the story. The story also highlights the act of kindness and empathy by the narrator when he decides to hand over the letters he found on his desk to Mrs. Macpherson, who gets happy after receiving the last memory of her late husband. Sometimes it just takes a little kindness and empathy towards the other people to make them happy. So ikkada manaki author, that means Michael Mapugo, expressed or communicated an act of kindness by handing over the letter to the army soldier's wife, Lady Macpherson. So she received a letter and she felt so happy receiving the memory of her late husband. So this also shows that whenever we get something from others, we need to hand over the things to the respective person, so that it also gives us happiness, and we are also promoting an act of kindness. Now look at the moral of the story. This story teaches us that war and fights always create sadness and anger. The celebrations and negotiations are the things which can keep everyone happy. We should avoid war and should try to maintain peace. So here the best Christmas present in the world says that we have to say no to the war, and we have to always have friendliness and brotherhood among ourselves, especially in the context of the World War I. So this is the main moral of the story. Now let's go to the detailed summary. Before we go to the detailed summary, what are the objectives of this lesson? So the first objective is, there are some dates or periods of time in the history of the world that are so significant that everyone knows and remembers them. So మీకు యొక్క స్టోరీ బిగినింగ్లో డిఫరెంట్ ఈవెంట్స్, డిఫరెంట్ హిస్టారికల్ డేట్స్ ఉన్నాయి. అవి ఒక ఎవ్రీ డేట్ ఈజ్ సిగ్నిఫికెంట్ ఇన్ ద హిస్టరీ, అండ్ దట్ ఈవెంట్ వీ నీడ్ టు రిమెంబర్ అని చెప్తున్నారు. And echoes of the Christmas 1940 in the trenches call to the present day when a letter found by chance in an antique desk. So ఆ ఓల్డ్ రోల్ టాప్ డెస్క్లో ఆ సోల్జర్ యొక్క ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ దాగి ఉన్నది. అందులో దాగి ఉన్న టచింగ్, మూవింగ్ అండ్ ఎమోషనల్ ఇన్సిడెంట్ ఆ యొక్క Macpherson. Macpherson shares his experience so very, very heart touching అని చెప్తున్నారు. It is the story based on the World War One. It also highlights the peaceful celebration of Christmas between enemy armies, here Germany and England. And it also describes affection of a wife, here Lady Macpherson, towards her husband who is out for a war. Heartwarming and spine tingling. Listen to the words, heartwarming and spine tingling. This is a perfect story to curl up with on a winter's night, as per the words of Michael Mapugo. Now let's go to the characters. So in this lesson, there are three main characters. Jim Macpherson is one of the Tommies. Tommies here naming the soldier in England context, and is the leader of his troop. He is an open-hearted, brave and courageous man. He lives in 12 Copper Beaches, Bridport, Dorset. Dorset is a county in southern England, southwest England. He was a teacher in Dorset before the war. He is a martyr in the World War One. So he died of his fight, and in the First World War he became a martyr. Second character is Connie Macpherson. Here there is a spelling wrong here. M-A-C. I have just corrected it. And she is the wife of Jim Macpherson. An accident burnt her partially. She is alive only in the belief that she will be able to see her husband once again. So she has been longing to see her husband once he comes back from the war. That is her expectation, and with that belief, she lived for 101 years. And third character is Hans Wolf. He was a German Fritz. Here, Fritz refers to the name of the German soldier in the World War One. He is their captain. He worked in an orchestra in Dusseldorf before the war. So these are the main characters: Jim Macpherson, Connie Macpherson, Hans Wolf. Now let's go to the story. And before we go to the story, let us look at some of the glossary. Roll top desk, a desk with a flexible sliding cover. Restore means repair and use it again. Christmas Eve, the day before Christmas comes. Stuck fast, shut tight. Trenches, deep holes in the ground. Fridge, a name for the German soldier. No man's land, an area between the armies which no one controls. ఆ యొక్క మధ్య గ్యాప్ని నో మ్యాన్స్ ఐలాండ్ అంటాం. ఇద్దరి ఆర్మీస్ మధ్య ఉండే ప్లేస్. టామీ, ఏ నేమ్ ఫర్ ద ఇంగ్లీష్ సోల్జర్. రీచ్డ్ అవుట్, ఎక్స్టెండెడ్ ద హ్యాండ్. రీచ్డ్ అవుట్ మీన్స్ extending the hand. Now let us look at the summary. The summary 1 regarding the first chunk. The narrator went to a junk shop in Bridport looking for a roll-top desk. The junk seller informed him that the desk he picked up was made of oak tree. The narrator found it cheaper than the others he had seen. ఈ యొక్క స్లైడ్లో ఈ కార్టూనిక్ పిక్చర్స్ ద్వారా మనకు ఫస్ట్ పారాగ్రాఫ్, I spotted it in a junk shop in a Bridport. Bridport is the name of the place in that Dorset. A roll top desk. Here you can see a roll top desk which he wanted to buy from the junk shop. I have always wanted one, but there were far too expensive. Chala ఖరీదైనవి కాబట్టి he wanted to go for a cheaper one. The veneer had lifted. It looked like water damage. Both fire and water had clearly taken their toll. సో ఆ యొక్క రోల్ టాప్ డెస్క్ డ్యామేజ్ అయిపోయింది. ఆ బంట్, ఆ ఫైర్, ఆ వాటర్తో క్లియర్గా డ్యామేజ్ అయిపోయింది. ఇట్ వాజ్ early 19th century and oak. It was in a bad condition. సో ఈ కార్టూనిక్ పిక్చర్స్ ద్వారా ఈ యొక్క సమ్మరీని మనం తెలుసుకోవచ్చు. బట్ దెన్ అగైన్ ఇట్ వాజ్ గోయింగ్ ఫర్ వెరీ లిటిల్ మనీ. సో హీ వాంటెడ్ టు సెలెక్ట్ the same thing because it is cheaper and he can buy it with very little money that he possesses. I thought I could restore it. Restore it means repair it and use it. It would be a risk, a challenge, but I would have it. I had to have it. I paid for it, and he got the roll top desk. So after getting the roll top desk home, then what he finds in it, we will come to know in the next slide. So he observed, and this is the summary I'm giving you. So he within that he observed after that I'm just skipping to the main points. He observed a white flag waving from the side of German soldiers. They called out Happy Christmas loudly. So ఈ యొక్క కార్టూన్ పిక్చర్లో ఫస్ట్ someone saw a white flag waving from the trenches opposite. Then they were calling out to us from across no man's land. Happy Christmas, Tommy. Tommy refers here by German soldier to English soldier. Happy Christmas. So soldiers from his side also wished them back cheerfully. However, the air of confusion was offering them to share schnapps. So it can drinks, the food items that they normally consume during their stay in the war, and sausage. About 12 soldiers started coming towards them in no man's island. Initially, the narrator was apprehensive, yet he made no efforts to stop them. So, they wanted to come and greet Happy Christmas among themselves, but here there was some apprehension in the mind of uh, Mr. Macpherson's, but he did not put in any effort to stop them. He was rather happy that they were celebrating happiness with his enemy soldiers. He further added that he liked the way the German officer came towards him and introduced him. He wished him happy Christmas and told him that he should play the cello, a musical instrument famously played German in Germany, in the orchestra. Mr. Macpherson greeted him and replied that he was a school teacher from the Dorset. He shared rum and sausage. So now let us look at the cartoonic picture here. It will give us clear understanding. So Hans Wolf from Germany soldier side. I am from Dusseldorf. I play the cello in the orchestra. Happy Christmas. So there is an exchange between the two soldiers about the event Happy Christmas, and they happily and cheerfully exchanged the words here, as you all see on the screen in terms of these cartoonic pictures. He wished him Happy Christmas and told him that he should play the cello in the orchestra. Mr. Macpherson greeted him and replied that he was a school teacher from Dorset. He shared rum as a kind of drink and sausage, so kind of meat that they usually consume for better uh, strength. Now let's go to the page 2 summary. He spoke almost perfect English. He was surprised to see Dusseldorf speaking good English, and he knew about Dorset where he has never been there. The source of his information was from reading Thomas Hardy novel The Madding, such as such novels and other English stories. They discussed Bathsheba, Gabriel Oak, Sir Julian Troy, and Dorset. His family includes his wife and one son. The letter read as the narrator had best time with the enemy celebrating. Next, the fun element was a game of football. They made goalpost by pitting గ్రేట్ కోట్స్. సో వాళ్ళ యొక్క కోట్స్ని ఉపయోగించి గన్స్ని ఉపయోగించి గోల్ పోస్ట్గా తయారు చేసుకొని దే వాంటెడ్ టు ప్లే ద ఫుట్బాల్ గేమ్. హ్యాన్స్ వోల్ఫ్ అండ్ జిమ్ మ్యాక్ఫెర్సన్ wanted to resolve the differences and would not harm their families. This is the main point of the crux of the story. So Hans Wolf and Jim Macpherson wanted to resolve the conflict and differences and do not want to harm their families. Macpherson was sure of winning the game of cricket because English soldiers like very much their favorite cricket game, but here the football game is being played. The game was won by Germans, and to his surprise, Answell admitted that their goal was wider than theirs. సో ఇక్కడ ఫెయిర్ అంటే ఒక రకమైన ఫెయిర్ గేమ్, ఏ కైండ్ ఆఫ్ ఫ్రెండ్లీనెస్, స్పోర్టివ్ స్పిరిట్ ఉండాలన్న ఉద్దేశంతో హ్యాండ్స్వల్ఫ్ రిమార్క్డ్ సో. సోల్జర్స్ ఆఫ్ బోత్ ద సైడ్స్ bade good boy. They bid farewell to each other and felt that the night was a memorable one. They exchanged carols, stille snatched from Germans and side, and while shepherds watched from England's side. So from both respective countries, they played their musical instruments and they sang songs from the respective cultures. Jim concluded the letter by saying that the both armies wanted for peace. After reading the letter, the authors could not sleep. Here, Michael Mapgo did not sleep at all. He kept awake throughout the night because after going through the contents of the letter, he felt so moved and he would like to go back to that given address and meet and hand over the letter to Lady Macpherson. And immediately he drove to Bridport. He asked a boy the address. When he went there, an old man told him that he knew about that Lady Macpherson. Her house was burnt. She used candles instead of electricity, considering it to be cheap. So, because she used candles, and suddenly the fire accident took place in her house, and she got hospitalized, and she was taken to Burlington House on the Dorchester Road. Now let's go to the third page. When he entered, he saw a hallway and a lighted Christmas tree kept in a corner with a lopsided angel on top. He asked for Macpherson's while waiting to observe that everyone in the dining room was singing and wearing a paper hat. The matron, who is there in the hospital where the lady was residing, offered a mince pie, a kind of sweet confection, a kind of dish, sweet dish, and took him along the corridor. She told him that the lady Macpherson was not in with others. So she kept her herself alone, and she would be happy to have a visitor as she didn't have a family at all. He saw an old lady sitting in a wheelchair. She folded her hands in her lap. Her chair was folded in a her hair was folded in a wispy bun. The visitor wished her Merry Christmas, Connie, and gave her the tin box, which contained the letter that was written by her husband, Jim Macpherson, as a memory. He described her how he discovered that, but she paid no heed to all his conversation. So ఇక narrator Michael Marpugo explained చేసినంత మాత్రాన she was not in a position to catch and grasp everything what he spoke because uh, she has lost her memory, and she is 101 years old, and she did not pay much attention to what he was saying. But there was something that actually made her no, come to conscious and felt that uh, uh, her husband Jim Macpherson came there and met her from the war front. So rather, she was smiling. She came forward with her tearful eyes. He mistook him for her husband Jim. She asked him to sit near her and read the letters himself read the letters himself. She wanted to hear his voice. She told him that they would have for Christmas cake and marzipan. Marzipan is a sweet confectionery or sweet dish, and that they usually, especially prepare on the eve of Christmas celebrations. So this is the story. So it's the lady Macpherson felt so moved, and in fact, the lady felt so emotional with the author's narrator's presence there, imagining that the real husband came back and met her. So, with this, we find that the Lady Macpherson received the best Christmas present in the world in the form of that letter as a treasure, as a treasure memory. So with this, we would like to conclude the video. Have a great day.